It's been estimated that 1 in 5 in New South Wales are living with some form of disability. Let it be physical disability, intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, or emotional disability. We have to address all the aspects that the person needs and provide treatment and rehabilitation and coping strategy.
It is a blessing to accept who we are. It is a blessing to know that if we cannot change the situation we are in, that we are ready mentally, psychologically to accept it, deal with it, and move forward.
Disability is anything that causes problems with coping with day-to-day activities, and that will make any one of us unable to perform or to live independently. This is the broad definition of the word disability.
I have no vision at all. The vision that I have in the limit of my vision is no sight, but I have a bit of light reception, so I can tell when it's light or dark. So I have no sight at all. I was born totally blind.
By government classification, I'm legally blind. So what that means is that I'm not completely blind, but I have some level of vision, but I have a condition known as retinitis pigmentosa. So basically it's damaged and dead nerve tissue in the back of the eyes, the retinas. So the part that's connected to the brain, so some of the receptors and things in the retinas aren't communicating with the brain, so I'm not seeing as much.
With disabilities, people get affected psychologically even more than physically, because disability is not only relating to the physical ability or disability of a person, but we always look at the mental ability and disability of a person. And having a person with challenging abilities mentally, it's always in certain communities dramatic and has more effect on the person and their family as well. We notice that in certain communities, if they have a child, while this child is challenged physically, sometimes they relate this challenge to God, Allah, and the bigger authority that it gives them, this child with physical disability.
للأسف لم يزل بعض الناس عنا سواء في الجالية هنا أم في خلفيتنا ببلادنا بينظروا للإعاقة كشيء من الأقلية، شيء من النقص في الإنسان. لذلك بيحاولوا إما يعني عطفاً على أو مساعدة له، بيحاولوا إنه يساعدوه بالطريقة اللي إنه يشعروه بإعاقته. بينما اللي وجدته أنا هون في أستراليا مثل ما وجدته بألمانيا سابقاً، بالعكس بيساعدوك على أساس إنه أنت تشعر بشخصيتك الإنسانية.
مرقت فترة ولم يزال سني إنه أنا سمعي قليل. بالأول وقت اللي يحكوا وقت الدور التلفزيوني يتضايقوا. هلا بتلاقي صفت عندهم الأمور طبيعية. صفوا يشعروا معي، يوقفوا جنبي. يعني أول الواحد ما يحكيني من الغرفة أو من المطبخ أو من الصالون يجي يقدم علي لجنبي يحكيني. وقت بدي أشرب مي حاول إنه يجيب ما ينتظر يعمل يوقف جنبي يقول لي بابا مد ايديك قوية. يعني زوجتي كمان بدها كثير من الاوقات انه ما اقدر البس ثيابي تحاول تخليني اعتمد على نفسي. انا جنبك بس انت البسه، البس الجاكيت، البس القميص. هالمعنوية هذه اشعر انا انه انا انسان اخر بالحركة بالعقل، لانه الانسان الاعضاء عبارة عن جسم هامد. من اللي بيشغلوا العقل. قول لعقلي انا بدي البس القميص، انا بدي اشرب، انا بدي امشي، انا بدي اتحرك، ونفذ. وهيك انتصرت بمعاونة عائلتي واخواتي واولادي وزوجتي.
My parents told me at a really young age that I had a vision impairment, but then I forgot that I had a disability when I got to the age of 15. So then when I found out that I had a vision impairment, I wanted to start to know what my disability was about. I wanted to find out.
Some people with disability live with the misconception that they have done something wrong, or it's a form of punishment that has been imposed upon them because they are guilty because of something they have done. Well, this misconception we need to address, treat, and take it away from the mentality of the persons living with disability, the persons around them at the workplace, at school, in the streets, from families, from friends, in order to rehabilitate the person and develop coping strategies with our disabilities.
Once you're out into the world, and if you hadn't had any aspirations or any kind of goals that you wanted to do after school, and if you had no idea what you wanted to do or even know, because I think one thing that's very common with people with disabilities is they question their own value and worth in the world because they're born with a disability. So they start, or I know for myself, there were times where I did question myself a lot and questioned if I had any value to offer to the world, or if I'd be good enough for the world, or have anything, any kind of gifts or anything like that to share. So after school, after I finished year 12 and the HSC and that was a very, a lot of trials and errors in my life in terms of, went into different kind of job experiences and, did a course, and there was just no direction at the time. There was no direction. I had no idea what to do with my life, and then there was just a point where I wasn't doing much with my life because I just didn't know what to do. I started working towards little baby steps towards independence, like starting to travel on my own outside, like catching transport, that kind of thing. Like just very, very small steps. Like it was a very scary thing, but at the start, but I just knew, I felt like I wanted to be a bit more independent.
لقيت في مو أكتر من إخواته لأن كان بده كتير مساعدة مني أنا، وهيك هالأم إنه دغري هيك وقت اللي ترك وبده صار يروح هو وحده وبده ينتكل على حاله وبده يعمل something، كتير كنت فزعوني عليه، ومرقت فترة كتير أنا مشوشة عليه، وقول أنا يعني منا ايزي. أول ما إنه عطول always أنا أخده، أنا جيبه، أنا أخده على السكول، أنا جيبه من السكول. أش ما هيدا يعني وقت لقيته صار خلص سكول وبده يروح ويجي وحده، كانت كتير صعبة علي. بس نشكر الله، أنا بشكر ربي، الله بعت لي بشير جيفت، وهالجيفت أنا كتير مبسوطة فيه. يعني شاطر كتير ودير باله على حاله، وبشكر ربي على هالشي كله، وهيك أكتر من هيك ما بقول. وبنصح كل أم عندها ديسايبل ولد بالبيت إنه بدها تسلم أمرها لربي وبدها يعني ما تدلفز عوني زياده فوق اللزوم. بدنا نقول كتر خير ربنا اللي ببعث لنا اياه. نحن ايه انه ما نهين عليها، بس بدنا نسلم امرنا لربنا ونترك اولادنا يعيشوا حياتهم. وكتر خير الله. وانا كثير مبسوطه ببشير، وكل ام ان شاء الله بتكون مبسوطه باولادها ويعني تساعدن قد ما فيها، بس تتركون انهم يشوفوا الحياه كمان.
لكن كثير انزعج. هن كانوا انا في ناس كانت تعارض، وفي ناس كانت تعطيني نيجاتيف كومنت على انه كيف عم تعطيه يعمل لك اياهم. يعملوا معلش، اذا ما عمل شيء انا بكمله، بس هو بشيل 90% كان من الجوب. انا بالنسبه لي هو انسان فيه روح وعنده مشاعر وعنده حلم وعنده رؤيه وبيحلم. هو نايم وبياكل مثلنا وبيشرب. هو ما عمل شيء حتى ليكون هيك، هو خلق لقى نفسه هيك.
يعني لما أقول الحمد لله، أقول الحمد لله لأني ما أصابني أقول هو خير، لأن الله لا يريد الخير إلا الخير للإنسان، للناس جميعا. إنما يعني والإنسان يبتلى، والابتلاء على درجات. نعتبر أنه هيك إصابة بالنسبة لي مثلا خسارة رجلي ابتلاء من الله، لحتى انه هل اكون انا عبد صابر قابل للقضاء والقدر وماشي طبيعي بين الناس، ام اكفر بما كتب لي وازهق من الناس وازهق من المجتمع واهرب وانعزل لا سمح الله. لا بل بالعكس، الحمد لله وجدت القوة من الله سبحانه وتعالى اني اتعامل مع الناس واتعامل مع اهل بيتي واهلي جميعا في منتهى الكمال والانسانيه.
Because the kids didn't know much about disability. They didn't know how to help. They didn't know what I needed when I was bullied. So I had a really good friend. When I was bullied, I could talk to them and they could help me understand what bulliness was. And I had a really good friend that I still talk to outside of work. And if I have a problem or something, I can turn to my parents. But if they don't understand, to help me, then I can turn to a friend that could understand me more.
She is very bubbly. She's always smiling, and she is also very, very, very emotional sometimes. You know, she speaks from the heart, and it's a very true friendship.
People always label, they always put a label on people with a disability because they see our disability first. They don't see what you're able to do. So when people saw me with vision impairment, they would always say, "Oh, how do you see to cross the road? How do you use a computer? How do you use a phone?" So when I found out that people always say that to me, "Oh, you're vision impaired, you're not allowed to do that because you can't see." So if I want to do something, say for example, go across the road or something, there is a way to learn with vision impairment. So instead of looking with your eyes, you listen with your ears for the traffic. So that's what I learned a lot about my disability.
So you always have to think about what will the community think? What will the image that I'm portraying in the community be like? And you always have that in the back of your head. So you're always striving to be better than that image. And that's hard to keep that all the time. we decide to make our own image and opinion about what we should be doing. And we don't care about what the world thinks and what the family thinks and what everybody else thinks. Because it's our disability and it's what we want to do.
Each community look at the condition in their own ways and translate it in their own ways. And the stigma is associated with the culture of that community. So the only way to deal with the stigma is to educate the community about the roots of the stigma, where it started from, and how to deal with it in the current life and today's life in Australia.
والله هذا سؤال جوهري، سؤال رائع جدا. أقول لكل من عنده إعاقة، مصاب بإعاقة معينة، لا يعتبر أنه هالإنسان هذا فيه نقطة ضعف أو نقطة نقص، بل يعتبره يتعامل معه كإنسان كامل، وهذا بيشجعه جدا. يعني بعطي مثل بسيط، انه انا لما بقوم بواجباتي كلها تسوى اللي انا بقدر عليها، مش من باب انه انا بدي اجبر على نفسي وافرض حوالي، لا بالعكس، لاني ما بدي اعود نفسي الناس تعاوني. لو قبلت الناس تعاوني من اول ما اصبت، انا ما كنت وصلت لهالمرحله اللي انا عايشها، ولا كنت تزوجت، ولا كان اجاني اولاد، ولا كنتوا شفتوني مثل ما هلا انا. لانه قبول هالمساعدات من ناحيه العطف الزايد والحنان الزائد، هذا بعض الأحيان يقتل أو يعني يؤثر على نفسية اللي من هو مصاب بأي نوع من الإعاقة. لذلك أعطوه الفرصة أنه يتصرف كإنسان عادي، وأعطوه المجال يأمن حاجاته، بعض حاجاته أو شغلات اللي بيقدر عليها، طبعا مش أنه اللي ما ضمن استطاعته، مثل أي إنسان. يعني كل إنسان بيعمل ضمن استطاعته، وهذا المعاق عنده استطاعة، خلوه يقدر يعملها.
One of the things that's always intrigued me over the years is the concept of the power of the mind, and I always felt like that was something that I was really curious about all the time, and I always wanted to know more about it, but I wasn't sure how to find out more. But what, you know, to really boil it down for you, so just to give you the shorthand version of it, what I discovered when I found, and it's no coincidence that, you know, my journey really started in health and working on my own health, is when you start working on things like, for example, your health, and then your mind, and then how you conduct yourself in the world, how you process the world, but also when you learn about others and when you learn about behavior and how the mind works, it's amazing the shifts that can happen.
Services should be giving them the right information and should be able to be participating in all aspects of community life, such as in transport, education, access to services, and the whole things that we, people without disability, are able to access.
Where's your bags, عمو؟ إيه ما شافوني والله.
The point here is, if you educate a community about the disability and the different disabilities and why we need to deal with disability as an issue of concern, but we need to be more vigilant and more careful with disabled people, give them their rights, give them their abilities, and do not take the rights from them to speak and to act and to perform and to be part of the community and part of the society. Even if they have a challenge would affect them to present their opinion, they are still full human beings and they have equal rights.